Today we're here at the Rivers Casino Gaming Expansion Project for a demonstration for the facility folks. Quickly, you have two operable partitions. They're made by Modernfold. You have the longer wall that's about 90 feet long, and then you have a intersecting wall that's shade under 50 feet. So you can make several different configurations. Obviously, you can have one large open room. You can have a subdivided into two equally spaced rooms, or you can do one large room and two small rooms. The final configuration would be to isolate this room, how to create a L configuration. Based on the panels all stacked to this side, you cannot create the L in the opposite direction. So just so whoever's renting the space is aware of that. This is a single panel system, so each panel is going to operate independently from one another. No hinging or pairs. Some systems operate in that fashion. Each panel is going to have two carriers. One is slightly inset from the lead, one is slightly inset from the trail. When we go into the pocket area to bring panels in and out, you'll notice that the stacking area has two sets of tracks. The carriers and the track work together. They're automatically programmed, so the carriers know which set of tracks to go on. So you don't have to fight through any intersections or anything like that. It should be relatively easy to move once you get them in and out of the stack. One other thing on the stack is they are angle stacked. So when you go to put them in the closet, if the lead starts to turn on you before the trail, that's perfectly fine. That's normal. That's what you're supposed to do. Stacking them on an angle is going to allow you to get them moving from a standstill position a little bit easier. The panels have operable top and bottom seals. The top seals are going to be automatic. They will engage themselves once you set the panels in position. The top seal will automatically trigger to engage the track. So the first panel here has a jam that you're going to intersect into. There's a receiver. All you're going to do is line it up. And if you'll notice, if you come around to the lead edge, that nosing on the top seal is projecting out of the panel about 3.5 inches. All you're going to do is line that up, give it a nice solid shove, and that seal will automatically engage itself. On the back end, you have a access point here to operate the manually operated bottom seal. You're going to put your crank in, rotate the seal down until it hits the floor. Once you get to the floor, you can give it another crank and a half, just to make sure that you have a nice solid seal. The panel's not going anywhere. This seal will apply force on the floor, so if you keep cranking, it's just going to keep building the pressure. I wouldn't recommend putting your foot or anything under there. To test it is a very strong mechanism. So once it's down, you're good to go with this panel. I will mention that also these are 4-inch bottom seals. They're designed for, in case of deflection on the roof, that the panels will still operate even if there is a decent amount of deflection. So there will be a larger reveal on the bottom seal than you may be accustomed to if you're used to operable walls. Panels number 2 and 3 here, as you see, are pass door panels. So they're going to operate a little bit differently from the intermediate regular panels. We're going to go ahead and just set the panels up. Top seals are the same, so they'll engage. We're not going to worry about the bottom seals until after we set up a few panels. If you try and set the bottom seals, you're going to have the wall swinging on you if you don't have stability on the back end. So again, just create a little space here. You have a steel frame and a steel axle, so you're not going to worry about hurting these panels. So give it a good shove to engage that top seal and to get a nice tight seal from the panels. And we're going to drop the bottom seal on each individual panel outside of the pass doors immediately. The ashicles are a male-female on the panel joints. So as you'll notice, once the panels come together, they kind of grab each other. So you don't really have to be spot on with your setup. But one thing you do want to be careful on when you're dropping the bottom seal, this panel can sway. So if you're holding it out of plumb and drop that bottom seal, it's going to stay there. Then the subsequent panels are going to set up off of that. So you're going to want to make sure that the panel itself is as plumb as you can make it when you're dropping the bottom seal. So once you've got a couple of panels behind the pass doors, we're going to go ahead and drop the bottom seals for the pass door legs. We have a special handle for this. It has an extending piece on it. just to give it a little bit more clearance, so you can drop the seals without hitting the edge of the panel. So we're going to have a bottom seal on this leg, a bottom seal on the door as well. Just get my tool ready to go. So you're going to want to drop this pass door panel seal down to about a ½ inch from the floor. That way the door is still going to swing, you know, and not be caught up on the carpet. It does have a hold open at 90 degrees, so it will stay at 90 degrees. But once you get it going, it'll come down. You'll notice here on the bottom you have a little bit of a actuator, and inside the panel is a small plunger. So what that plunger is going to do once it hits that, it's going to drop that seal down the last ½ inch or so to give you a tight seal once the door's in place. So now you have a nice seal underneath. It is a little bit of a kind of guess and check operation on that. If you get it too high, the seal's not going to drop far enough. If you get it too low, the seal's going to be too tight and drop prematurely. So again, it's a little bit of a guess and check on that. For egress purposes, outside of the door is just a standard recessed lever pull or lever handle. I will caution you also, I was doing it myself here, setting up before you guys got here. You can try and bring out 2 panels at a time just to expedite the process. You just want to make sure your top seals don't accidentally engage on you when you're doing that. Otherwise, you'll feel it right away. If there's a top seal dragging on here, these panels are going to get a lot harder to move. So if you feel like, hey, things are starting a lot harder to move, yeah. So you can do it. You can do it. You just have to be very gentle, because if you push too hard, then the seal's going to want to throw, and then you're going to lock yourself in. All right. So one more specialty panel here for walls that are a substantial length like this one. We have 2 expandable mechanisms. Gives you guys a little bit of flexibility with the opening dimensioning. This panel is not designed to utilize the expandable nose. You'll see here, if you consider cranking here and you expand it out, this nosing piece will actually come out. We don't want to do that ever. So we're going to lock that in place. It's not going to, for all intents and purposes, it's not going to be effective. You're not going to use like 2 knobs. The only thing that's going to be different is where you engage your bottom seal. It's going to be from the bottom actuator there. Yeah, so a couple of quick things on this panel. Because of this nosing piece, it doesn't have that standard male-female afterglow, so it's not going to lock in as well as the other panel intersections. So again, you're just going to give it a nice solid shove. Top seal will engage, and we'll bring in the next panel behind it. it's a little bit more tricky to get just right. Now we have our intersection wall. You guys want to go ahead and set that up, or we can continue along with the rest of this?
Yeah, I just want to see how they divide.
Yeah, so again, you're going to notice on the lead end of this panel, you just have these vinyl seals that are just going to rest on the face of this panel. We're going to try and line it up with the
I think there's another set of doors in the air wall.
Again, the top seal is going to be. Just make sure that you have your bottom seal set on this panel. Otherwise, you're just going to push your wall right out. So we can go to either one now. You will notice, I think we touched on it right before we started here, there are sensors from the lighting control provider that identify when the walls are set up. So when the walls are in place, you'll notice these little sensors are hitting our seals now. All the lighting controls will automatically be adjusted.
Per room, man.
Per room, correct. So if you went
when they're open, it's all one room. When they're divided, it'll separate.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you'll go over that more with your lighting controls, because that's the extent of my knowledge on it. All right, as we get to the end of the run here, the last panel is going to be our expandable, our closure panel. Just a quick note, the operating side is always going to be on your left side, the left-hand side, the way that the stack goes. So when you're pulling this last panel out, you kind of want to exit the pocket, otherwise you're going to come out on the wrong side or trap yourself, one of the two. So you have a handful in here to kind of help facilitate this, bring it around the curve. And right in. The last panel is going to seal to the face of this closet door. It has a positive latch on it. You just want to make sure that the positive latch is shut firmly. This expandable mechanism, again, is a powerful mechanism. It will exert quite a bit of force. Yeah. So if you keep pushing on that
Break the door.
face of the door, you're going to break the latch. Typically, hasn't been operated, so it's a little tight still. So once you hit the face of the door, give it another half crank or so. Again, you kind of feel that door giving a little bit. And then you're gonna come down and do your bottom seals. That's the operation of the expandable mechanism. Again, we're not gonna do those doors because the tables are in the way. Just quickly on the reverse on the operation, you're gonna go bottom seals, expandable, get those up. To release the top seals, all you're gonna do is pull back on the panel and they will retract themselves. When you're breaking it down, when you're breaking it down on the pass doors in particular, you're gonna wanna make sure that you raise those seals before you remove the panel behind it. Otherwise, if you try and operate the seals or the doors without any stability on the back end, again, the panel's gonna swing out on you. Your pocket door. Shuffle them on in. Again, bring the bottom seals up on every panel. The top seal will release.